RJ, we're going to blow this all up, and we're just going to look at it from a very granular level.
Okay.
There are people right now who are at work who are unhappy, and they want to be happy. Let's leave it just right there.
Okay.
Not I want another job, or I hate this place, I want to leave it. I'm unhappy and I want to be happy.
Yeah.
How do we make that jump? All right, so if we throw that out into the atmosphere, I'll go back to my story. In 2006, when I was working at Hartford Insurance Company out of Lake Mary, Florida, I remember going to one of my bosses, and it wasn't in 2006 that I did, it was in 2005. But I remember going to him, one of my supervisors, and I was asking him, what do you see in me? Like, you see me here every day, I'm coming to work, you know, I'm trying to do my job, but what do you see in me beyond this? And I'm pleading with him because I figured as a manager, as my supervisor, he is seeing the talent that exists. And he said to me, he said, Gerren, we hired you to do a job. I need you to go back to your desk and do the job.
What job was that?
I was a claims adjuster.
Okay.
So imagine me behind a desk, answering phones, and sometimes not, and responding to attorneys and responding to judges, and you know, it wasn't my thing, man. Trying to get people back to work. I'll say this, my objective was to get people back to work. If I took what I know now, go back then, I probably would be better at the job, because I would look at it from the standpoint of, these are people who need to provide for their families, or these are employers who want to give to these employees, to their employees. How can I mend that relationship, that broken relationship? If I looked at it that way, probably I would have walked in the door every day caring more. But at that point, it was just claims adjusting. Wasn't too interested, but I was doing my job, kinda. And I'm just saying, I wasn't totally committed.
That's what happens when you're not bought in.
Correct, correct, absolutely correct.
So what were the instincts welling up within you? Like you were doing this, and I'm sure you're doing fine enough.
Yeah.
But what were you feeling like? This is not for me. I'm more independent.
Right.
There's more I can do for my own self, for other people. Not in this position.
Yes, great question. I'm working there, Jay, and I am not successful. And when I say successful, I mean there are other people who are depending on me to do my job well, and they are struggling because I'm not performing my job well.
I'm sure you did it well enough, though. Right.
I could have been better. It just wasn't, there wasn't that,
right.
We weren't in sync.
Yes.
So I was coming in just doing a job. So just by having that problem, I'm affecting my personal relationships with my coworkers because I'm not performing professionally. So we have that. Then we have Gerren and his wife waking up in the morning miserable, crying, physical crying. And then I remembered when my brother or my wife told me that, Gerren, the drink that you're drinking every morning to go into work has alcohol in it. And I wasn't someone who drank before. But I was realizing that I was so dependent on this specific drink. And it was actually helping me to be calm, to come into work. When I saw that, I was like, I have a problem.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I had coworkers who were there at work who were miserable. So every time we went out for lunch, they were like, I hate this job, I hate this, da-da-da. And I remember one time I told one guy, his name was Eric, I said, well, why don't you just quit? And the table got quiet. Shortly thereafter, he did quit. And he's been, to my knowledge, he's been happy since. When that occurred and all these other things were happening in my life, I realized I needed to make a difference. I needed to make a change. That's what it was. And I said, well, how can I provide for my family and still be happy? That was a question that I asked myself. How can I provide for my family and still remain happy and meet people? I was very much interested in meeting people. So I'm in a cubicle for 8-10 hours a day, not meeting people, just talking to people on the phone, miserable. But within me, I want to get out and talk to people.
Okay.
So
isn't talking on the phone kind of like, well, no.
Yeah, well, if you look at it that way. But people were talking at me, you're like, why don't you get this done?
Oh, it's not the sort of relationship you want.
Yeah, not that kind. But I wanted to grow, I wanted to learn, and I wasn't getting that from within the environment where I was. So it was like, how can I get out there and talk to people and learn from people? And I was always interested in business because I've come from a family where my father was an entrepreneur, my mother was an educator. My uncles were entrepreneurs. My grandmother was an educator. You know, right now my brother and my sister are educators. My brother and and myself, they're entrepreneurs. So we fall into that valley. So it was like, how can I? I kept asking myself, how can I? And then I started asking, what am I willing to do legally? What am I willing to do? Gotta be real. Gotta be real about it. So I wanted to come home every day. Every day. I didn't want to be, in any kind of problems. So by asking myself those key questions, how can I provide? What am I willing to do? When do I want to get it done by? I knew I had to make a decision. So I saved up whatever money we had, my wife and I think at that time we had only saved probably like $8,000. And I pleaded with my wife, well, not even pleaded, I asked her what were her thoughts, and I told her, this is what I want to do. I just need you to back me. And I said, I'm willing to do whatever legally to provide for us, even if this doesn't work. I'll go to work at McDonald's, I'll go to work anywhere, if you just back me on this. So we took our initial money, and initially we purchased a curbing business, a concrete curbing business, decorative curbing around your landscaping.
Yeah.
Did it for a few months, didn't work out, sold that, and then got into cleaning.
Okay.
And the story for cleaning was, like I mentioned before, I've shared with some other people, where I saw the gentleman, wiping the table, and he said, I told him, thank you for wiping the table and preparing the place for my wife and I to have dinner. His life seemed to change instantaneously, because it seemed as though he knew why he was there now. And when I saw the smile on his face, I told my wife I want to do that again. So then we didn't know how I was going to do that again. Cleaning hadn't yet fully come into play. But I was working out with a friend of mine, Keith. He was cleaning some places. I would go out and work with him. And one day I said, I think I can do this. He's like, do what? I was like, I think I can do this cleaning thing. And he was like, no. This is a part-time job, dude. Keep your day job. Don't do this. And I was like, I think I can do this. But I was thinking about all those other opportunities, all those other events that occurred. Me meeting the guy at dinner, me wanting more, me asking myself, well, how can I? And I was like, I think I can do this, and I can improve on what you're doing. And so I took the step. Here's the big kicker. It wasn't a very popular step. Because
you mean between your family and people around you?
It wasn't popular to the people around me. My wife understood where we were going. Everyone else didn't as yet. Mm-hmm. So they're like, why are you going from dressing in slacks and a button-up shirt to now putting on jeans and a polo shirt to go out and clean toilets? And I was like, it's not about the toilets, but I knew where we were going. And I think that's what people need to understand.
Where were you going?
I was seeking happiness.
Okay.
I was going to find happiness. So it's like packing a backpack.
Yeah.
You put it on, and I'm going to climb this mountain.
Yeah.
And you just start walking.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm going. Whether you're coming or not, I'm going. So I was seeking happiness.